Hello, I'm Lindsay with an E from Prince Edward Island, and welcome to Poetry in the Field, where I share some of my favorite poems from some of my favorite places. I've just spent a delightful weekend in Kingsville, Ontario at the Larmas Gathering, which was a gathering of lively minds, generous hearts, and kindred spirits, and I so enjoyed my time there. But I have a little show and tell because on the way to the Windsor train station, I stopped at a glorious used bookstore, 3 levels, but I found this, my very own copy of the Oxford Book of English Verse. I've been looking for a perfect copy for a while now, and I found it. This is the 1939 edition, and it's a 1949 reprint in beautiful condition, so I can't wait to spend some time in these pages, and I'm sure I will be sharing many poems with you in days to come from this book. But the poem I wanted to share with you today is something that I shared a little bit of at the weekend. It's a poem by George Herbert called The Elixir, and I shared a little bit, and I wanted to just read the full poem here today. Now, this poem, The Elixir, it draws on the medieval ideas of alchemy. This was the idea that base metals could somehow be transformed or purified into precious metals, especially gold. Now, the alchemists, they sought this unknown substance, which they called the philosopher's stone, or the tincture. And it was this stone or tincture which would enable that process to happen, that transformation to gold. They also believed that an elixir of life could be made from it as a cure for disease and a way to prolong life. Now, from what I understand, for the alchemists, this physical process of conversion and purification also paralleled a spiritual process in which the soul was also purified. Now, many Christian Renaissance poets drew from this imagery, and many poets actually compared the philosopher's stone to Christ himself. And so Herbert is drawing on this imagery with his title, The Elixir. You're going to hear about the tincture, you're going to hear about gold in this poem. And here he's offering us something of a cure for our vision, especially our interpretation of the ordinary events of our lives, our own ordinary actions, which we so often disregard as meaningless or base or unspiritual. Well, look deeper, he says. There is a tincture for this ailment. There is indeed gold here. And so I would like to read this poem for you today, The Elixir by George Herbert. Teach me, my God and King, in all things thee to see, and what I do in anything to do it as for thee. Not rudely as a beast to run into an action, but still to make thee prepossessed and give it his perfection. A man that looks on glass, on it may stay his eye, or, if he pleaseth, through it pass, and then heaven espy. All may of thee partake, nothing can be so mean, which with his tincture, for thy sake, will not grow bright and clean. A servant with this clause makes drudgery divine, who sweeps a room as for thy laws, makes that and the action fine. This is the famous stone that turneth all to gold, for that which God doth touch and own cannot for less be told. That's The Elixir by George Herbert. A little cure for our vision today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you will join me again soon for another episode of Poetry in the Field.